All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 12 of the Socially Unacceptable podcast. Today is July 21st. It is the third day.
We are live, Cleveland.
Yeah, we are. I would say it's the third day of the RNC, and we are live in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. I'm actually not that far from Cleveland, Ohio. I could have gone to the RNC. I'm like an hour and a half from Cleveland. But anyway, just before we get started, thank you to everybody who listened to all of our episodes before this. If you haven't, make sure you check them out on YouTube or iTunes or Google Play or whatever. We're on all of that stuff, so make sure you subscribe or follow or whatever you want to do so you can keep up to date with all of our episodes. This week on the show, we've got, I think everybody's been on, that's on this week has been on at least 2 or 3 times before. Rory and Chris are back for their, I don't even know how many episode. How are you guys doing this week?
Good as always.
Pretty well, thanks for asking.
You're so welcome, Rory. Chris, your mic's kind of low again. Just a heads up. So you gotta.
Sorry, I was leaning back.
Okay, well, don't do that. And then after a couple week hiatus, Garrett and Eric are both back. I don't know. It's been a couple weeks for both you guys, right?
Yeah, I think a couple.
Okay. How you doing, Garrett?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Doing pretty good.
Eric, how about you?
Super hot over here.
Where is over here?
Doom.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Eric. Garrett, where are you at? That it's super hot.
Still Kalamazoo. I mean, everywhere's hot right now.
How hot
It
is
says
super
over
hot?
here like we're not all at Michigan.
I don't know. It's well, yeah, like I don't know what that question was. You're the only one who's in Ohio.
Okay.
It's been like high 80s all week.
Dude, it's been
So
like
it kinda
95 here all week. Super hot.
I have
Okay, well,
become
it's
sweat.
Ohio. Come on.
Yeah.
Just
Eric,
nobody-
what about you? How are you?
Everything's just been just fine and dandy. Yeah.
Is it
Love the
super
life.
hot by you too?
Yeah, I kind of just don't even care about the weather anymore. It's like, it's either like 100 degrees or it's thunderstorming, so I don't even look at the weather for like, checking if it rains. I just take it as it comes,
That is a good way to do it. So does anybody have any big updates that they've done in the past week or whatever? I know we always try to do this and nobody ever has anything exciting, except apparently Phil's like, I have a job interview, which apparently is big news. But does anybody have anything?
I start my life as a wage slave on Monday.
Well, pour one out for Rory. Rest in peace,
Yeah.
Rory. Been real. Where are you working at?
Chuck E. Cheese.
Nice! Congratulations on the step up,
No,
man.
it's,
That's huge.
It's this dermatology lab.
That's basically a Chuck E. Cheese.
Not as good as Chuck E.
That's
Cheese.
less exciting than Chuck E. Cheese.
There's
Yeah.
going to be just as the same amount of gross stuff at the dermatology lab as you'd find at Chuck E. Cheese.
Less children, more adults with PhDs.
far less brawls though.
Yes, far less brawls. My little brother Ben, when he was really little, got in a fight with a girl and lost at Chuck E. Cheese when he was like 6. She kicked his ass.
What
He came home with like a
what
bloody
an
nose and a
idiot.
black eye. It was hilarious.
Mighty fighter.
I don't know. I think like she bumped into him and he said something and then she just punched him in the face like 3 times. So it wasn't really a fight. It was just like he's got his ass beat. But yeah,
Like,
he
I was
came
at Chuck
home.
E. Cheese one time. I was playing skee ball at Chuck E. Cheese, and for some reason I wasn't like trying to roll it up the ramp. I was throwing it like overhand, and
Okay.
so I completely missed one time, right? And you know how they have like that scoreboard on the top usually? I like hit that thing. It fell over onto the ramp, and I just kind of like looked around all nervous like and just ran away. And that's basically my
you
experience.
just
Garrett, we've all been there before. I feel your pain.
yeah.
Everybody has
We've all
broken
been
a skee
fucking
ball
criminals.
game at Chuck E.
Like-
Cheese and just walked away.
Truly terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, so Rory's got a new job. Anybody else have anything exciting or fun?
I got a new
So,
guitar.
Oh,
Good
nice. What
back.
kind of guitar did you get?
It's an acoustic guitar. It was the one I showed you guys, but it was taking
Well,
forever.
our listeners can't see it, so you have to describe it for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, now you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but it was back ordered like 2 months, so I was like, fuck that, and I canceled the order. Found it on eBay for $70 cheaper, so that was
Oh,
nice.
nice. Very nice.
So yeah, that's what I've
That
been
was like
doing all
your graduation present to yourself, right?
week. Basically, yeah.
Okay, very cool.
You want me to sign it or anything?
No, I don't.
Check.
We're-
Let me know if
I'd
you
say
change your mind.
Besides being
If I change my
a
mind, I'll let you know.
besides being a world-class athlete, Rory's also a rock and roll guitar player. I don't know if you knew that or not. So Rory's
I'm
just
alright.
jack of all trades. Eric or Chris, you guys have anything fun? Anything exciting? Hopefully cooler than
I booked a flight to California last week. So
shit.
you know,
Where in
as
California
the
you going?
once great notorious BIG said, going back to California. So
Have you-
pretty
wait, have
excited
you ever
about that.
have you ever been to California before?
Yeah. We kind of have a good relationship. Been there maybe 10 times.
Holy
My dad's
shit.
best friend lives out there.
Oh, okay.
And for our lovely listeners, I have a girlfriend that's living out there and going to school out there. So
Look at Eric, he has a girlfriend. Woohoo.
yeah, dude. Yep. got the old chick friend. So
Where in California are you going?
so started in LA, doing a road trip to Berkeley, and then taking a little jog up to Crater Lake in Oregon, and then coming back down to Berkeley.
Oh,
So,
a little jog. That doesn't.
7.5 hour jog. A car jog.
That'll get you warmed up.
Going to hopefully drive to Palo Alto, make way too many Silicon Valley jokes the whole time. I have 1 or 2 black turtlenecks coming in the mail, so I'll be breaking
Nice.
those out.
Nice.
Yeah. Rest in peace, the late and great Steve Jobs. Yeah, so really looking forward to the whole California experience once again.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Chris, are you just living life?
Binge watching The 100.
Oh my God. Why?
What do you mean, why?
I did like that.
Dude, I tried.
Fantastic show.
I tried. I couldn't do it.
Really? I like it. It's a good show.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a cop show and it's not a doctor show that automatically, in my mind at least, sets it above most things.
You don't like cop shows?
I mean, I do, but there are like 800 of them. At a certain point, you just gotta stop doing it.
What do you have against the police?
Yeah. Are you anti Blue Lives Matter, Garrett? Is that what you're telling us right now?
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, it's starting. It's starting.
All right.
We
now
haven't
that
even
we've got
gotten to the RNC yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, now that we've started the hot takes, we can just jump right into our main topic this week. As we stated before, the RNC has been going on all week. It has just been a plethora of just really awesome talking points. Let's just start with Melania Trump's speech, because that's been probably like one of the most talked about events, I guess, of the whole convention. Basically, for those of you who have been living under a rock, Melania Trump, Donald Trump's wife, gave a speech on, what was it, Monday or Tuesday? Do you guys remember?
Monday.
It was the first day of the convention, right?
I think it was. Yeah.
Was it Tuesday?
Okay.
First day.
Okay.
I don't know.
And it was, I would say 60%, like basically, Michelle Obama's speech from 4 years ago.
It wasn't
Right?
60%. It was like, there was like one stretch.
No,
where it
there were like 4 or 5 like large sentences that were almost
from
identical.
what I heard.
There was
I didn't listen to the whole thing, so I don't know the length, but
it was quite a bit of the speech was, if not identical. Let's just put it like this: she would have gotten a 0 had she written a paper, and it would have been considered
absolutely.
plagiarism.
So speaking of that, there was a GIF that I saw right after that where she gave the speech, and it was like her side by side with Michelle Obama, and it's the caption underneath said, "When you have a paper due at midnight and it's 11:50," and it's them saying the exact same things over and over again.
One interesting point, obviously she, like, I don't know if she did or like they fired the speechwriter, but it was not the same.
Actually,
No,
opposite.
they didn't. Yeah.
Wait,
they
they
did
didn't
not-
fire the
they-
speechwriter?
They did not.
I
So the
actually-
speechwriter- Yeah, go on. Eric.
Go ahead, Roy.
Okay. Oh, you're so nice. And
Canadian
Republican.
stand
But
up right here.
going on. Yeah, so the speechwriter, I don't know her name, came out with a statement, and that's she accepted
It's
responsibility.
Meredith
She's-
McIver.
Yeah, if I'm remembering the wording of this statement, basically she said, she was helping Melania construct the speech, and that she took she took responsibility for inserting these passages in there. Let me see if I can find it too, because I can maybe give some more clarity. So obviously, this person who's not a Trump, not of the family, is going to take the fall regardless of whether this is true or not.
Right.
But the speechwriter said basically that Donald and the Trump family acknowledged this as an honest mistake. They didn't think it was intentional or an act of sabotage, and chose not to fire her. And she just, in her statement, I think, ended by thanking the Trump family, or blah, 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 by not getting rid of her job in spite of this mess up.
Interesting. Yeah. So the one thing I was just going to say, hold on, go ahead, Garrett.
One of my favorite parts about the speech is not necessarily the plagiarism part, but there's one line where she said, "He will never ever give up, and most importantly, he will never ever let you down." So she literally got rickrolled by whoever wrote the speech.
I was gonna. This is. I look at this and I go, how is this not intentional? That's just crazy.
One thing that I read that was kind of interesting is hate Melania or be on her side or whatever. People were talking about it. They got so much free press. I know the old saying,
it's just another
no
move
press is
in
bad
Donald's
press.
Five-dimensional game of chess.
Right, exactly. So,
Trump
people have been talking about it all week. So,
Trump had a tweet about how there's been more investigation into Melania's speech than the FBI did on Hillary Clinton's email scandal, and he had I think over 220,000 likes on or favorites on Twitter. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
So yeah, you said, the word's kind of getting out about it.
I was gonna say I think because there was a period for 2 weeks, long time ago, where I just assumed literally everything Donald did was just genius, and there was just some way it would pan out. That's obviously not completely true, but I do think, like I said, I mentioned it a lot. Him being chronically underestimated allowed him to take the nomination, and I think I don't want to say this is smart, but it's when you have his wife mess up his speech, in such a way. One, like you already said, tons of free press, but his wife is in my opinion, is much harder to attack than he would be.
Definitely.
She's a legal immigrant, and I think English is her. I'm not kidding. I think English is actually her fifth language.
Holy shit!
That she's had to learn. She's, I want to say, Slovakian originally, Slovakian model, so she knows Slovakian, French, English, and I guess 2 others. But when you have someone making the speech who's obviously, not the best English speaker, it's going to be hard to attack them on the merits of this.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point.
Total plagiarism, but probably the best person to make the totally plagiarized speech.
If only she would have just cited Michelle Obama using MLA format, it would have all been fine.
Exactly.
We'd never have this discussion,
Okay, so the next thing, I guess, would be Mike Pence accepted the VP nomination, and I know we briefly touched on this last Thursday, but I know Rory kind of wanted to go more in depth into Mike Pence and what he thought about him. We said we were going to kind of touch on that this week. So, Rory, what do you got about Mike Pence, your boy, Mike Pence?
Mike Pence, he's not my boy. Mike Pence is basically, I think a lot of people called him Cruz Light. I don't think that's true at all. Mike Pence is the current governor of Indiana, but he's had his speech this week. I think 1 or 2 interviews last week. I definitely saw one on Hannity. But he was incredibly well spoken, and obviously it's an interview on Fox, so I don't think this interview is meant to cast him in a bad light or anything. But he did well. So I don't want to say it contrasts, but I guess that is the right word for it. His demeanor, in my opinion, contrasts with Trump's brashness, is over the top, mannerisms. But yeah, Pence, former governor of Indiana. Indiana's a pretty much mainline Republican state, so I don't see much potential for him to impact the election in that regard.
Is he more moderate? Is he a more moderate Republican? No. That's kind of what I gathered.
Well, what I want to say is, in his interview with Sean Hannity, Hannity's like, "What about the wall?" And Pence goes, "Mexico's going to build it. Mexico's going to pay for it." So it's basically and there are other statements too, but it was basically you have this pretty, in my opinion, from what I haven't seen much of him, but this well-spoken guy kind of, saying, "Yep, we're going to do it. We're going to do everything that the other guy, Trump, said." In my opinion, he's got a lot of negative baggage, just because he kind of got some egg on his face with the this religious freedom law in Indiana last year. I should know more about it, but I don't, among other things. But the religious freedom law was him basically, I think, you've probably heard about it, like similar situations in other states where I think the chief example is like a bakery saying they don't want to cook like a cake for like a gay couple because it like goes against their views. I think he was like at the center of pushing a law that would make that allowable in Indiana, and it just kind of blew up in Indiana, and he had to walk it back and try to get it back, and he got a lot of negative press over that. I had some other stuff, but I kind of forgot it. That's my brief summary of him.
So why, if he's got all this negative baggage, why is he the vice presidential nomination? Like, why is he?
Because like I said, he's well-spoken, handsome, and he's a traditional Republican, which is a huge portion of the Republican Party who's kind of leery about, voting for Trump.
Right.
Another reason I could see is because since he is from Indiana, Ohio and Michigan are, I think, typically pretty big swing states. I think they're trying to draw from that Midwestern crowd. Could be another pro from a Trump stance.
Like I said, like working whites are a demographic that Trump has a huge potential to win against Clinton with.
Okay. So you mentioned that some people have referred to him as kind of Cruz light, even though you don't necessarily agree with that. What did you guys think about Cruz not endorsing Trump?
I think it got kind of overhyped in my opinion, and I don't mean to make this. I feel like I don't want to defend literally everything Trump does because he's made mistakes, and this is definitely not a positive development. But anyway, what he said was, vote your conscience, vote to defend the Constitution, and it's like, yes, he didn't endorse Trump, but like, can you really disagree with those statements?
Yeah, I agree. He didn't say anything negative about Trump. He was just, giving good advice to American people,
He was
and the media was kind of saying that they were booing him and stuff, and I really didn't hear too many boos. I mean, there's just as many claps as there were boos, so.
Yeah, it wasn't like overwhelming, but there was like a dull, constant boo going on for a little while.
Yeah.
Like, it was audible, but not like overpowering.
And
right.
we've talked about this before in one of the earlier podcasts where we said that like this is the first time ever where like if like say your favorite like Republican candidate was Cruz and then he drops out, like in most races you just immediately go to your like next whoever the remaining Republican candidate is. But we talked about like this is the first time where like on both parties like people are hesitant to do that just because of how like I don't want to say poor like the candidate choices are this year, but just like the people's feelings on it, I guess. And like it even goes to like major donors because I was listening to a radio station. They were talking to and I forget the name off the top of my head, but it's a guy that lives in Texas who
Sheldon
was like
Adelson?
a huge. Maybe it's like a father-son type thing down there.
Okay.
And he was a huge donor to Bush's administration, and they donate to like all these major campaigns every like electoral cycle. And they like had their first candidate, which was someone, and then Cruz was their second, and then someone else was their third, and like Trump was like would have been their very last, and like they refused to like endorse him because they thought he was like an embarrassment to the party.
Wow.
And these are people who like give millions and millions and millions of dollars every single year to literally any Republican candidate that's running.
Right.
And they refused to donate to Trump because he was a laughingstock of the party in their eyes.
That's very
So I don't think that it's that crazy. Like, I feel like the other candidates are kind of like the American population right now that are saying, like, you know what? Like, we don't like the guy. We're not just going to jump on board with whoever the Republican candidate is this time. Like not wanting to endorse him.
So you guys think the whole Cruz Trump thing was just kind of blown out of proportion by the media more than anything?
A little blown out of proportion, but it's like I don't know how you could. I could not. Yeah. I don't think it's that. It's definitely. It wasn't. I don't think it was expected. Just because I personally didn't expect Ted Cruz to speak at all, and then when I saw that he was, I was like, wow, he's gonna. Like my mind jumped from. He's either not going to speak and not going to endorse, or if he's speaking, like, that implies an endorsement is going to happen. That's, you know what I mean, though? So when I saw that he was speaking in the first place, I was like, wow, that's a big deal. Just because Kasich, I don't think Governor Kasich didn't make any kind of appearance there. Nor did he make an endorsement. Exactly.
I heard he did make an appearance, but I don't think he has given a speech though, for sure.
Yeah.
No,
I know Trump tweeted about it coming in.
I didn't expect Cruz, like I said, I didn't expect him to speak or make an endorsement. Just like it was like the Republican primary process between those two was just fucking brutal. Like that was some shit flinging for sure. And I think
absolutely.
Cruz was like, I'm not in the habit of endorsing people who insult my father and wife, and I was just like, yeah, like props to you. Like that was kind of a maybe it was a political thing to do, but it was kind of a shitty thing to do in my opinion. So I don't really blame Cruz for endorsing him on that kind of personal standpoint.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Chris, you have something to say?
I was just going to say, I don't, like, to me, personally, and maybe this is a little bit of ignorance, but it honestly wasn't that much of a surprise to me that he didn't endorse him, just because of all the, like, from all the other candidates on both sides of the, like, even within his own party, and, like, people have talked this whole, like, election about, like, the huge, like, schism within the Republican Party. And, like, the fact that, like, you know, the other candidates are, like, so opposed to him that they would literally endorse any one of each other, like, before him. I don't think it's that crazy that a couple come out and say, you know what, regardless of the party connections that I have, I don't think he'd be the right man for the job. But
well, I think that kind of goes back to what Rory said, and it wasn't that he didn't endorse him, it was that he made a speech and didn't endorse him. It would have been different if he just didn't say anything, but he like made an effort to get up and say something, and then he didn't endorse him once he got up there. I think that was
everyone's kind of expected to endorse if they're speaking at the convention.
Right,
like if
exactly.
If you had this speech, it would be a huge deal. Nobody would really expect him to come out and say it.
Yeah, I honestly think that speaks like magnitudes to the like literally like the thoughts of everyone in America right now.
I don't know about everyone. I would say quite a few people. I don't know about
a large majority.
Very
I would
large.
say, I mean, a large majority that like. Regardless of whether you're going to vote for him or not, because I know a lot of people blindly, regardless of the candidate, are going to vote for the party that they associate themselves with. But even if you associate yourself with the party, you still kind of have like that gut-wrenching feeling of just having to go and vote at this election for a lot of people, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of traditional Republicans feel that way. I feel like a lot of younger people might not necessarily, especially like our age and probably like within 10 years of our age. But I feel like a lot of traditional Republicans probably have that feeling, just because of how radical of a candidate Trump is.
Yeah, and on both sides,
but
like,
also
Donald Trump and Clinton are both, like, in terms of polls coming out, they're just, like, very high, like, unfavorable ratings. Like, there are a lot of people on both sides that don't like their own candidate.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Hillary's not faring any better, really. Like, there's a lot of Democrats who have a gut-wrenching feeling about voting for her, too. Right. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Well, I'm just going to... I was talking... Go ahead, Roy. Or Eric, somebody. Go ahead, Roy.
You go this time, Eric. You go this time.
All right. I was saying, how do you guys think that unfavorability will play into the third-party candidate? I've seen a lot of videos and posts about Gary Johnson on social media and stuff, and I kind of want to see what your guys' opinion is on him.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Johnson's polling at what, like 12%, 11, 12% right now?
Well, as a third party?
As a third party candidate, yeah. And I think Jill Stein is somewhere around like 4 or 5 or something, which isn't nearly as high. But, I mean, that's, about 15% of the vote that's not going for Republican or Democrat. So, I mean, third party, while I don't think anyone really has a legitimate chance of winning, could actually determine the election based on how many voters they pull out of the Democrat and Republican side.
That is very.
I was gonna third party. Like you said, beyond, in my opinion, beyond even the effect on this election, what would be huge is if they start polling at the threshold is 15%, I believe. Then you get to be included in the presidential debates. That would be huge. And I think there is also a similar kind of threshold for on election day or something. I wish I knew more, but also there's another kind of threshold basically where if you break this amount of votes or this amount of polling percentage, then you start to, I think, to receive federal funding when it comes to actually being like a political party like the Republicans and Democrats do. And I think the first step is for someone like Johnson, because I think he's the most viable one at this point, if he's already at 12%, is to break 15 and kind of just get himself out there and known.
Right.
Because, what is it, in like 2012 and 2008, 2004, it's like, the Libertarian Party or the Green Party, whatever they poll like 2% nationally, and they're kind of regarded as a joke.
1.5%, 2%.
I think you only have to be on the same stage as the established parties once in that kind of spotlight for people to say, okay, well, they're not automatically a joke anymore. And I think that's the first step to kind of establishing a mainline third-party presence in the country. Just because, right, like I think I mentioned it before, I feel like half the reason, it was really hammered home at the RNC this week, and I'm sure it will be at the DNC, but it's just like every other word at the RNC was like, yes, it was about Trump and how good of a jobs guy he is, but it was like, we have to stop Hillary, we have to stop Clinton. And so it's like these two parties are just kind of propped up against each other, using each other as like, fuel just so they can keep getting themselves elected. And I think if you add a third party that takes that aspect away and candidates have to run more on their own merit as opposed to just fear-mongering the other party.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And which is the party's worst nightmare.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that whole 15% thing, I'm not sure if that's like something set in stone or if that's just kind of like a guideline. I think like if they start polling around like consistently 13, 14%, like I think if enough people are saying like, hey, let them debate or whatever, they might actually do it. Obviously, Republicans and Democrats wouldn't want a third person on there. But then also like if the Libertarian Party gets to this certain threshold you're talking about where like, they get federal funding, they actually become like not a major party, but like a major player at least.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it would probably affect the Republican Party more. I
think the rub of it is it has the third party has to be able to draw us.
Because libertarianism, as far as I know, is pretty conservative. I mean, on social issues, more Democratic side or liberal. On economic issues, more conservative. But I think, the appeal is more to the conservative side. As far as I know, like I'm not a libertarian. I don't really know these things.
Yeah, but like in my opinion, the real simple, like it doesn't do, and I don't think this does any kind of movement justice. But basically, libertarianism leans to the left socially and it leans to the right fiscally, which means the movement pretty much centers around personal freedom. I think this actually was from Gary Johnson, and obviously it's not like a policy quote. It's just kind of, I think, something to get a little bit of a headline. But he's like, I want gay Americans to be able to guard their marijuana farms with assault rifles, which is kind of this pseudo. It's about personal freedoms, and it's like I said, it's pro-abortion and pro-gun, unlike the Republican Party, unlike the Democrat Party. But I said,
I think it'll draw from both. But like, my question is, which party do you think it would draw more from?
I was going to say the rub of it is,
Republican Party.
I see it drawing more from the Republican Party, and I think because of that, it's going to be, I don't want to say easy, but it's more doable to say this is just like some ploy to get Hillary elected. You can't do this. I think a viable third party has to be able to draw somewhat equally from both parties, just so neither party is able to cast it as just like a conspiracy or a way to let the other big party win, if that makes any sense.
Right.
And I think that's a big reason why the Libertarian Party is polling so much higher than the Green Party, because like how many Republicans are going to vote for Jill Stein? Like 0, maybe.
Yep.
Because Green Party is super far to the left, so that's probably why it's not nearly as close. I could see like a lot of people on the Democratic side voting for Gary Johnson just because he's, pro-choice, for LGBT rights and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And maybe they lean more conservatively on other issues.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but apparently some members of the Republican Party are looking to go old school, and they want to bring back the Fourth Reich, and they're looking to bring back the Nazi Party, led by Laura Ingraham. She came out to one of her speeches, and she decided to give a little Nazi salute to the crowd. I don't know if you haven't seen it. If you literally just type in Laura into Google, the first thing that comes up is Laura Ingraham Nazi. It was very blatant that she did it. She probably did. Obviously, she did it on accident, but you could kind of see it in her, her face when she did it. She kind of realized, oh shit, I need to fix this. So
the GIF is just hilarious. It's just
it really is.
It is full on Nazi salute, and then oh shit, I'll start waving now.
Well, yeah, she Nazi salutes one way, and then like her face, you can tell she's like, holy shit, I fucked up. And then when she goes the other way, she makes sure to point with one finger. So it was kind of
Yeah,
like
I'm gonna watch it again.
almost as if to like be like, I messed up on the one way and I didn't point, but I really did mean to point both ways, guys. I really, really did. I know I've watched it like 20 times and it's literally hilarious every single time.
Just never gets old.
Just one of the many great moments we've had.
You know, this is big because the way her hand is in the footage of it, we can't see her thumb in the saluting hand. And if her thumb's like out, like it's just kind of waving around, that's not a Nazi salute. If that thing's pointing to Hitler like the other four fingers, then we have a problem.
Oh no, I'm looking up. Okay, I googled Laura I, and then the first result was Laura Ingraham Nazi. So you're right.
Yep, absolutely.
And then I went to images. The first one, or one of them, I was saying like you can't see her thumb, like you're talking about. The other one you can, and it's pointed directly forward, and it's like
that's mega Hitler.
That is full on.
Yeah, honestly, great form on her part. Great form.
Yeah,
you can tell she's practiced it before, right? This is not her first time.
Yeah, this is a seasoned pro.
Oh man.
I love how we're just low-key calling Laura Ingraham a neo-Nazi.
Well, I'm not saying she's not. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna pull the old Ted Cruz endorsement here.
I have no proof to show that she's not Nazi.
You guys just both said your whole sentence at the same time.
It's the pointing. She's like, yeah, you saw me. I didn't salute. I just waved.
Yeah, exactly. That like she tried so hard to make up for it. And it was just like the fact that she tried to make up for it just made it that much more obvious of what she did at first. So, does anybody have anything else they wanted to talk about the RNC before we move on? One thing I kind of was noticing, I haven't like watched too many of the speeches live. I've been watching a lot of like the daily recaps and stuff. One thing I noticed from the first couple of days is there was like a huge focus in the speeches on getting our military strong again and dealing with terrorists and dealing with ISIS and just all that kind of stuff, which I thought, I don't know, I've not really watched many RNCs in the past, obviously. I'm just, it's only my second election where I can vote, so, what were you, is that something that's kind of common for the RNC, or?
I mean, it's the RNC.
Well, right, but it just, I don't know, it seemed like they were just like, very, very, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I can't say I've watched a bunch of RNCs.
I think a word is like jingoistic. Have you ever heard of that?
Say that again?
Jingoism or jingoistic.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's just kind of a term for like, I think it originated in like, late 1800s, 1900s, that whole like gung-ho militarism, very enthusiastic military pride, Teddy Roosevelt and the Big White Fleet and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think this just kind of came to the forefront just because I think like I said, I don't know too much about this issue, and I should, because it was kind of a huge talking point for Donald Trump sometimes to hype himself up with the whole, like, I'm going to be the best veterans candidate ever. Our veterans are treated like crap. They're treated like shit. And I've heard, like, some issues with, like, the VA system and if that's not functioning right. But I don't know how true the problem is or how big the problem is, but he made that very key in a lot of his speeches, just like kind of that patriotic military spirit.
Okay.
And like I said, this is my second election too. I haven't watched that many RNCs, and I don't have too many memories of watching too many RNCs, but I think it was kind of expected that they'd have that kind of military spirit for this one.
Okay. I think it's kind of. Go ahead, Eric.
I think it's kind of going off of his like kind of nationalist sounding campaign, very, like Make America Great Again. I think kind of that's kind of a part of it, the military, keeping track of the veterans. One of his main talking points was there's 40,000 homeless veterans. Heard a lot about like if you're a veteran, you go to the VA hospital, for example, it takes a long time, to see a doctor, and even when you're there, it takes, hours sometimes. So I think it's kind of just going with the tone of his campaign, I think.
I was going to say, and this will tie in a little bit to a future segment, But especially with like the extremely unfortunate state that not only the United States but the world is in currently with all this like terrorist crap, like with everything that happened, like the whole Nice situation and everything in the U.S., which is a little bit more like the unfortunate part of the U.S. is it's not even terrorism; it's more like citizens killing citizens, which is even worse. But the terrorist stuff, and then just like this past like a couple days ago or yesterday or something like that, there was the guy who attacked people on a train in Germany with an axe, who had an ISIS flag in his apartment. And then, like I said, it was going to tie in with the Brazilian military arresting the people for planning an attack on the Olympics, which is definitely like an obvious threat. I mean, people are like paying attention to that a lot. But there's like the two sides of it where everyone's saying like we need to do something about it, like you give it all this attention, everything like that, which is a lot of the political candidate stance. And then there's like the more pacifist stance of saying like the more attention, like the more ground this thing gains, the worse it's going to get until who knows what happens.
Right. So, does anybody have anything else about the RNC? Rory, I know this is your wheelhouse. So if there's anything you wanted to talk about, now's your chance.
Ooh, I was gonna say, just a quick tidbit. So Pence's speech, in my opinion, was probably one of the only run-of-the-mill speeches. Like it was unusual, I would say, just for how usual it was or how traditional it was. Like he, it
was boring.
Not boring, but it was just. I thought it was unique just because he didn't fucking start screaming or doing other stuff.
He didn't pound his fists and use demonstrative hand motions.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, call Hillary Clinton Satan or whatever. He just kind of thanked God, thanked his family, kind of said who he was, reinforced why he was so happy to be Trump's running mate, and I was just like, okay, that's it. Cool. We did it. We got through a speech. Something else I think was just, I don't know if cool is the right word, but it was just, it's always kind of interesting to watch just this, like, this legion, this army of Trump kids, these Trump children, just, like, all making their speeches and all doing their part of this campaign. And as far as I know, I think that's somewhat unprecedented to have, like, your entire massive family, like, mobilized for your own political campaign.
He's got he has 4 pretty mature children, and like you were saying, like Chelsea Clinton, I haven't seen many speeches on her. Then again, I don't really follow the Democratic side too much, but compared to the Trump kids, like she's been pretty quiet, I think.
Yeah, it's just
given some speeches, I'm pretty sure, throughout the campaign. I mean, it hasn't been like really in the spotlight, and I don't know who's speaking next week at the DNC. Like she might, but. She has been involved in Clinton's campaign, at least to some degree.
Look at Garrett being all blue and stuff.
Yeah, so the damn lib here. Yeah, but you mentioned Mike Pence's speech being all like typical politician speech, which is in stark contrast to Chris Christie's speech, where he got the audience to start chanting "Lock her up."
Krispy Kreme.
All right.
I don't know if you guys saw this. But,
I have not.
He would. Okay. He started going through all these points, like, what do you think about how she kept our national secrets safe? And the crowd was just, like, screaming guilty. And then he would say something else, like, what do you think about this? And they'd say guilty. And then eventually they started saying lock her up over and over again.
Wow. That's fucking
a little bit of passion.
That's so fucking culty.
That is so culty.
For every well-spoken person they have some shit like that.
I could see Chris Christie being a great commissioner of the World Wrestling Federation.
Just
like he just kind of has that persona.
Did you know Trump was in a WWE match?
Shut the hell up.
Really?
I'm not.
Yeah,
he wasn't a wrestler. It's fucking great. He comes out in his suit and it's like, I'll send you the video. It's fucking great.
Say I'll have to watch it after the show. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
All right. Anything else? Are we good for the RNC? I think the DNC's next week, right? So we'll probably talk about that next week.
Yeah.
We'll have some more libs on, so Gary doesn't feel so left out.
Yeah, I'm in enemy territory right now.
Yeah, we'll have to have Phil back on because Phil.
In before this Bernie Sanders coup. I'm hoping.
Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next topic. So I don't know. Like, we're in the middle of July, so there's nothing to talk about for sports. Like, nothing's happening. The most exciting thing that's happened is the Open Championship, which was last weekend. Henrik Stenson won with the score of -20. Phil Mickelson choked again and finished second, so another long line of Phil Mickelson choking. One thing that's kind of cool that I found, so Nate Ebner, who is the one of the New England Patriots safeties, and he also plays special teams, is going to be playing rugby for the U.S. at the Olympics. This makes him the first NFL player ever to make an Olympic team. And then, as Chris alluded to earlier, like, I don't understand why he's going to Brazil. Like, there's just so many reasons, so many reasons not to go to Brazil. There was the 10 terrorists that got arrested, who were planning an attack on the Olympics, who are believed to have ties with ISIS. I was reading last week, apparently some of the like bacteria and viruses that they're finding are now becoming immune to the antibacterial medication that they were planning on giving to the athletes. So
the Zika virus is the big one.
Well, right. I'm saying, like, besides Zika, like, some of the other stuff that they're finding is, like, becoming super germs, and I just, like, don't understand why you would want to go to the Olympics. It just, there's so many reasons not to, and, like, no reasons to go. I don't know.
I mean, as an athlete, though, that's, like, the major event, you know?
Well, I mean,
like,
he
people
played
live to go to the
Patriots.
Olympics.
He's not even like an Olympic athlete. He's just like a football player who just happened to make the rugby team. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of cool,
like,
but at the same time, I'd just be like scared as hell to go.
Really?
Right. And
I guess on a
similar.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it just depends on like what sport you're in. Like, obviously, like if you're like like a kayaker, like there's no like professional kayaking league, like, you know, like not to the extent of like the NFL. So like that is what you live for. I mean, you live for the Olympics if you're a kayaker. But like they were talking about like for like the NBA players, like winning an NBA championship is way more important to them than winning an Olympic title. Like for American NBA players.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so they're like
cares?
why would you even bother? You could have the potential of dying. You could somehow get injured or contract, you know, get like a virus or something and miss seasons and miss out on millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, why risk that for something that's going to mean less to you than your job already? So like for things like that, but for those like specific sports where like all they have is the Olympics, like they have their like special competitions, but like the Olympics is like the pinnacle of their sport. Like it's a little bit more convincing for them to go, but for people like this who like, you know, he's not even going to play his own sport. He's going to play a completely different sport.
Right.
It's really not worth it in my opinion, but.
Well, I know the top 5 ranked golfers in the world, none of them are going to the Olympics. Like this is the first time in I don't know how long golf is at the Olympics, and none of them are going. So that just kind of ties into why go. If your sport is, you know, not really, you know, if there are other avenues for you to put yourself out there and, you know, win a championship or make money that aren't tied to the Olympics. I guess like Chris was saying, if your sport really only exists at the Olympics, then it makes sense why you're taking the risk to go. But it is just an absolutely huge risk at this point. Like there's just so many things going on with Brazil.
And like the biggest sport of all of them, which is usually one of the biggest sports at the Olympics for the summer, is swimming, obviously.
Right.
And like that one makes the most sense for them to go because once again that's like kind of the pinnacle of the sport for them.
Yeah.
I still think that you guys got to remember that these guys are athletes, competitors, you know, and they're not really thinking about. Most of them are not. I guess in this case, at least, he's probably not thinking about that at all. I mean, like, I don't know how many people have, you know, gotten sick down there already, and you know, obviously there's like political and like social issues too, but you know, it's kind of like you've been saying, it's one of the big pinnacles of maybe, you know, rugby sport, but.
I guess for a lot of athletes, you know, this might be their only chance, right? Not too many athletes are able to make multiple Olympics, so this might be, you know, as bad as it is, it still is a chance to go out and, you know, represent your country and win an event, whereas even if it, you know, maybe in 4 years when it's in a nicer venue, you might not have the chance. So I guess that could also play into it. Excuse me. Holy cow. All right, so moving on to our gaming section for the week. Again, not a whole lot's happening. One pretty cool thing, so Evolution is one of the biggest fighting game tournaments of the year. Was held this past weekend. It's always in Las Vegas. So the two last, so I think they had 7 different games kind of took place over the course of 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. They had most of like their top 8 and then their grand finals obviously on Sunday. The last 2 games that were broadcasted, so Super Smash Bros. Melee was, I think, the top 8 started at like 6 Eastern time, and their peak viewership was 232,000 people on Twitch, which is, for those of you who don't watch video games, like the biggest broadcasting site. And then Street Fighter V was like kind of like the highlight, biggest game there. It was actually, the top 8 was broadcasted on ESPN2. And they had combined with the viewership from ESPN I don't even think this takes into account the viewership on ESPN. They had 414,000 viewers just on Twitch alone. So it was actually really cool to see. This was a record number of participants and viewers for Evo, which was pretty cool. I don't know if any of you guys, I don't think any of you guys follow like fighting games very closely, but it was pretty cool. Kind of another cool chance for a video game to be broadcasted on a mainstream television channel. I know we talked about a while back, we talked about E-League being broadcasted on TBS. That's still going on. One thing I found really funny, and this happens every time a video game's on like a mainstream site, is to go on to like, I went on to ESPN's Twitter, and it's just like hilarious to see how upset traditional sports fans get. Oh God. Did Eric just drop out of the call? I think he did.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just gonna keep going on. We're gonna plug on through. But yeah, it's just like people get so upset about just like what is this stupid video game doing on ESPN?
I love that.
Blah blah
I love
blah.
That happens.
It's just so obnoxious.
Eat it up.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's hilarious. I really do. But people just get so upset. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see all these people watching. I don't know. Not a whole lot's happening in the gaming world. So we can go ahead and just get into a fun little segment, or not really a segment, a topic we're going to talk about this week. I watched for the 20th time last night, Goon, which is probably my favorite movie of all time. So this kind of got me thinking, what movies do you guys, like, what's like your one movie that you guys could just watch, like, however many times and it would just never get old? Or like, if you see it on TV, like, you're gonna watch it. Do you guys have any movies like that?
Gladiator.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Movie.
I feel like I've tried, I've obviously I've watched that all the way through, but I've like tried to watch it, like I'll start it, and then I'll like get halfway through it, and then something will come up, and I just like won't be able to finish it. So I've seen it all the way through once, and then I've like pieced it together, like I don't even know how many times, but that is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've watched The Gladiator all the way through. It's been a long time.
It's like 4 hours.
I just get to I get to the
It's a damn good
speech,
movie, though.
like his speech where he gives where Russell Crowe gives Joaquin Phoenix like I'm Maximus, whatever, blobbity blobbity,
Yes.
father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered, like that whole speech, and I just like that's like the highlight of the movie. Everything after that is
Maximus
downhill.
Blippy Blobbity.
Yeah, blippity bloppity. That's what he says. But that's a good one, Rory. Garrett, what about you? What's your go-to movie?
Yeah, I'd have to say, since I watched it so many times as a kid, Empire Strikes Back. I could see that movie like 100 times, still love it.
Okay. All right. I actually haven't watched that one in a while.
As a kid, we had the VHS trilogy and stuff, and like I really liked the movies as a kid, but that was always my favorite one. And you know how like kids a lot of times will just like watch the same movie over and over again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just a thing that people do. Like I did that with Road to El Dorado as well, but it's not quite
that
as
was such a
timeless as,
low-key good movie.
It was. It was.
Wait, the animated movie?
Yes, the animated Road to El Dorado. Yes.
Loved that.
Dude, I watched that movie so many times. But I'd say one that stands the test of time would be Empire Strikes Back.
Very nice. What'd you say, Rory?
Any love for Jurassic Park?
No love for Jurassic
We
Park.
don't have Johnny.
I've heard it's one of the best movies.
Johnny, if you're out there listening, you know Jurassic Park is not a good movie, John. Just deal with it. Chris, what about you? What's your go-to movie, Chris?
So my two go-to movies, because I'll do one that's like a legitimate good movie and one that's a terrible movie but still a classic. The terrible one being Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Nice.
One of my favorite movies of all time. Will always enjoy watching that. And then my actual like movie that people would want to watch would be I'm a huge Inception fan. I thought that was a great movie.
Okay, I like Inception, but I don't think I could watch it like more than a couple times.
Same.
I feel like after I've watched it a couple times, it'd just be like kind of like, eh. You know what I mean?
I'm like, oh, here's this twist again. I didn't see that coming the last 6 times.
Now they're going into the 7th level of the dream world. Was he in a dream or was he awake? The top was wobbling. I don't know. It's a good movie. I just don't know how much like rewatch value I would have. But I guess to each his own. You're wrong, but whatever. It's cool.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I wholeheartedly agree with though.
Oh, absolutely. That I feel like to be kind of like a rewatchable movie, it's either gotta like I don't know. I feel like it almost has to be a comedy at some point.
Yeah.
Well, like,
yeah.
Pick up on things.
It can't be a thriller.
I guess
like,
I don't.
If it's a thriller,
yeah,
you know what's going to happen. There's no thrill to it anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of what you're talking about with Inception. Like Inception's, in my opinion, a really, really good movie. That's why I would be willing to like rewatch it, even more so for like the cinematic aspects of it, as opposed to like the storyline of it. But like if it's not a comedy, it's not like you're like comedies you can go back and like re-laugh at and be like, oh, that's a good joke. But like you can't go back to like a thriller or like a jump movie where it's like gonna scare you because you know what's gonna happen. So like it's not you're gonna be scared again.
Although I will say one thriller that I think has got unbelievably good rewatch value is The Prestige. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen The Prestige with
Which one was that? Because there
it's
was
the one with
and there was, like,
it's the one with Batman and Wolverine.
Okay, I got you now.
You know what I'm talking about? Alex, I don't want to. Have you, Chris and Rory? Have you guys seen it?
No.
Oh,
no,
dude,
tear me apart.
Rory, it's one of the best movies of all time. Like you need to watch it tonight.
It's a really good
unreal.
movie.
But it's really cool because obviously there's like a couple really big twists at the end, and then if you go back and you rewatch it, knowing the twist, you start to notice other things like throughout the movie that you don't notice.
I
like that. It's really, really, really cool to go back and watch it. Like, so I watched it when I was like probably like a senior in high school or whatever, and then I had a couple of roommates during college that had never seen it, so then I would like go and watch it with them, and I would be picking up on stuff that they like weren't even paying attention to because it was their first time watching it. But that, I thought that was really cool about that movie. But yeah, like I said, for me, Goon. It's like a stupid hockey movie with Sean William Scott. But I love it. I've watched it so many times. I can like quote almost every line, but it's got some of the best hockey lines I've ever seen. But yeah. Anybody else got another one? It's on TV.
That's all I got.
Trying to think if like see a movie on TV if I'll just like stop and watch it. Because there's gotta be some.
I do that with the Oceans movies. I like those.
Actually, I was just about to say that. I love the Oceans movies, and they're always on. At least one of them.
Those are good.
Yeah.
You're right.
They've got pretty good rewatch value. For whatever reason, I've been noticing Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is on TV a lot, and I've just recently fallen in love with that movie. It's hilarious. And so if that's ever on, I always watch that. But that might just be because I haven't seen it too many times. That might start to die.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, okay. It's a good one. It's loosely based on the Odyssey. It's got George Clooney in it. It's really funny. It's a good one. Definitely check it out. Okay. All right. So we're gonna get into. I don't even know what this is gonna turn into. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West versus Taylor Swift. So I think everybody on here has heard about this at least somewhat. I'm gonna do my best to just like kind of say what went down. If anybody wants to correct me or help me out while I'm going, it'd be greatly appreciated because I'm not the most well versed in this fucking mess of a
celebrity drama.
Yeah,
that's a good
thing. Wait, Rory, do you want to do it? Because I'm sure you know. Like this is like Rory's life. The RNC and Kim K versus Taylor Swift is all Rory's been doing this week.
I love the RNC.
It's a strange conglomeration,
and,
but it fits into Rory.
Kim and Kanye. Oh, so where do we start? We can probably start in 2009. Everyone knows about this.
Oh
This is
shit,
the
we're going way back.
This is the
This is going
infamous.
deep.
So Rory is in his freshman year of high school. Unbeknownst to Rory, at the VMAs, Kanye West takes the stage where I think Taylor Swift gets the award for best music video or best
I think it was
song, best album. So she gets best album. Kanye fucking comes onto the stage and he steals the mic from her and says something on the lines like, blah 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 blah, like I'm gonna let you finish, but really, like, Beyonce really deserved this award. So
basically he upstaged her as she was receiving her award.
If you've ever been receiving an award, maybe it was for like honor roll or something, and there's like 200 parents out there, put like another 5,000 people in the audience, put it on live TV, and then Kanye West comes up and steals your honor roll award and says that the other kid deserves it. You'd probably be pretty ticked.
Oh god.
So this is all. Oh man, I just love this because I only listen to real rap, Eminem. Now you fast forward to now, and I love Kanye's. I love pretty much all of his music, and him as a person. But so, what is the line? What is the line? So it's off. Kanye's new album comes out in February 9th, to be exact. The Life of Pablo, and the song is called Famous, and I should know the line actually, but it's basically to the effect is to all my South Side hittas who know me best, I think me and Taylor are still gonna have sex. Da 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 da. I made that bitch famous. Pretty risque, and you know exactly who he's talking about when he says Taylor. Like it's obvious.
Right.
So I think Taylor gets on stage at whatever awards. Maybe it was the VMAs again or the Grammys or something like a couple months ago. Yeah, gets on stage and says that something along the lines of there are people who will say disgusting things about you or try and take credit for success. Never let them quiet your voice. Pretty inspirational. Like Kanye looks kind of like a dick.
Kind of throwing some shade towards Kanye,
Kinda like
right?
that.
Basically what he was doing.
Kanye comes out, not in full swing, but Kanye comes out swinging, saying basically how this is bullshit. I called her beforehand to okay the line with her. She thought it was funny, and I said cool. I meant it to be funny, so you're going to have it put in. So Kanye's saying that happened. Taylor's can't deny it vehemently.
Wait, so he called her about the line in his song?
What's up? What'd you say?
Or the line... Okay, so they agreed upon... You're saying they agreed upon the line
Oh god, Garrett's going robotic.
and that he put in the song about making her famous? Is that what you're talking about?
Is Garrett's connection breaking up?
Yeah,
Wait,
Garrett,
sorry, Garrett,
you're breaking up
you
with
kind of broke up during that. Could you repeat the question?
Oh god, we having technical difficulties. Okay, alright, Garrett wants us to just keep going. Basically what Garrett was asking is, did Taylor, whoa, I'm trying to think what he was trying to say. Basically what happened was, Taylor says she didn't okay it, Kanye said he called her, she said it was okay. So they're kind of
Yep, so it's
throwing
kind of this,
shit at each other,
yeah.
is basically what's happening.
It's this he said, she said situation. It doesn't look like there's a way to be able to determine who's really telling the truth. And of course everybody's online saying, oh, this is probably, this is probably just a manufactured controversy to get them both like viewers or to increase their hype level right now or something. And I think it's this weekend, Kim Kardashian, Kanye's wife, starts, she puts on no, I'm sorry, we're gonna go earlier. Sorry about that. So
Oh god, we're just
Kanye ends
jumping
up
all over the
saying,
place.
well, I can't, yeah, sorry. So this is back when Kanye is saying, I called her. She is saying, no, he didn't. And there doesn't appear to be any proof going either way. Kanye then says that they have video evidence of him calling her, and they have video evidence of him calling her, because this guy is either such an artist or thinks he's such an artist that he hires videographers to record him throughout his entire process of whenever he makes an album, because he wants to make documentaries. He wants to create this dude is actually, he does a lot. I don't know if it's all good, but he does a lot. Music, fashion, and all that stuff. But
oh my god.
He wants to create documentaries over everything that happens over the course of him making his albums. And something that happened over the course of making this album is this phone call with Taylor Swift.
Right.
So they I don't know if they have proof that this happens, but then they say, okay, well, Taylor's lawyers, her legal team contacted us. They're saying they will sue if we release this phone call. And as far as I know, like that technically it would be illegal to, like, I think, leak the phone call, basically, just because, you know, you're recording someone else without their consent.
Right, yeah.
But so then that kind of raised the question of, okay, well, maybe this was illegal, maybe it's not, whatever. But, like, you know, Taylor, if you have nothing to fear, why can't we just hear this phone call? So that kind of raised some questions originally, and then nobody really heard anything for a couple weeks. And then this past weekend, Kim Kardashian on Snapchat just started, I think they had another screen or monitor or phone playing footage of the phone call happening, like Kanye on screen on the phone with Taylor. So Kim takes a Snapchat video of the phone call. She ends up taking, you know, like 20 or so Snapchat videos to get everything and putting them on her story. And, you know, they've got Kanye saying, yo, Taylor, what's up? She goes, and you hear her voice over the phone. It's on speaker. And he's like, you still got the Nashville area code? You know, stuff like that. And she's like, yeah. And then he starts asking her about putting the line in. And she's just like, oh, yeah, that'd be funny. And, you know, I'll just say it's a big joke. We're not still mad at each other or anything. Like, it's not 2009, shit like that. And he's like, cool, glad you're – and, okay, first of all, it's also really funny to watch the videos because Kanye has this huge persona of being this huge narcissist douchebag. Part of the reason I love him is just, like, you know, in this unscripted phone call, he's just, like, really, like, he's an awkward dude. He said, like, the you too, where he, like, stumbles over the word over the phone call, which is really funny to watch. Yeah, but it's video evidence of him asking her if he can, like, use this line. And she was like, and then she's even saying other stuff, like, that she, like, mentioned the whole 2009 incident over the phone call, I think. She was like, yeah, I know you were just pretty, like, excited or whatever. You didn't really know me or mean it. And he was like, yeah, I didn't. And I'm like, how much, like, more hard evidence could you pack into this phone call? But so this basically comes out, this leaks, and then it's not a shitstorm or anything. No, different people on the Twitter spheres we go to for our best of Twitter moments at the end of every episode start kind of coming out and picking sides. But it's just kind of this weird narrative. Well, as soon as this phone call leaked, Taylor Swift puts up this post on Instagram that kind of, like, it's this big paragraph about how she didn't ever choose to be part of this character assassination or false narrative. And then she ends it by saying, like, you know, I never said it was okay to be called that bitch in the song. And I'm like, okay, maybe you didn't, but it was like her story has been kind of changed every 3 weeks as this kind of controversy went on, where at first it was I've never heard of it. Now it was like he never called me. And now it was, I never agreed to be called that bitch. And the phone call's coming out saying, yeah, use the line, that'd be funny. So she looks terrible, in my opinion.
Okay, so like I was saying, is this fucking high school? Like, is that what's happening right now? Like, they're just, like, in high school, and it's just, like, it feels like just, like, high school drama.
It's like high school drama, but they're all millionaires.
Yeah, exactly. They're, like, adults and millionaires living in mansions and Snapchatting each other. It's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god. So, Roy, how do you think this ends?
This ends with a huge amount of publicity for everyone. I don't, like, obviously Taylor looks bad. I don't know if this ends badly for her. Just because, like, it's publicity, and it's like, you know, maybe she's just, I don't see how anyone could be this stupid to fuck up this bad, and, like, to just keep changing her story like this, where maybe she wants to go the whole, I don't want to call it the bad girl route or like pulling a Miley or anything, but her image has always been this very like, well, her image really has always been this kind of like squeaky clean, like don't really do anything wrong, and it's like maybe she wants to change that, and this is how she sees a way to do it. I don't know. There's a term for it. I don't know if it's like Occam's razor or whatever, like some term for it, but it's like I think it's malice, which should be.
Oh, Rory's going robotic again. Are we fucked again?
Stupid or whatever, but it's like interesting. This are we just gonna take an L on this podcast? Just call tonight.
Oh no, absolutely not, dude. We're plowing through this. We're plowing through this shit. All right, we're gonna plow right on. We're going to try a new segment this week. Hopefully this becomes a weekly segment. We'll just change it to a different topic every week. It's called Hall of Fame.
Shit.
What? Is it happening again?
It's gone.
Is it ripped? Is it ripped? Okay. Alright. We're just gonna call it. Oh, we'll try and do Hall of Fame next week. Sorry to everybody that listened and was expecting a great ending, because we're not having it. Thank you to everybody who listened as always. Thank you to everybody who was on, even though they can't really understand what I'm saying right now. Rory, Chris, Garrett, and Eric. Not our most beautiful episode ever, but it'll do. Everybody, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube.
Thank you, Crystal Fieldhouse.
Subscribe. Oh, yeah, shit. Thanks, Roy. Thank you, Crystal Fieldhouse, for being our unofficial sponsor.
Are you wearing your Crystal Fieldhouse hats?
Official sponsor.
I am wearing my Crystal Fieldhouse underwear, dude.
Okay.
So I got that going for me.
We should be good.
But yeah, thank you everybody, and we will see everybody next week.
It's happy hour again. I think I might be happy if I wasn't out with them and they're happy. It's a lovely place to be. Happy that the fire's full of bomb and is a shield. With a haircut, smile, and the meaning of style is a night out with the boss. Where you win or you lose, and it's them who choose. And if you don't